I've chosen to do my research on the cardinal flower. It's from the family Campanulaceae. Its genus is Lobelia and its species is Cardinalis. It's an angiosperm and its native range is in North America along the east coast from Canada down to Florida, and it's found in shaded to open wet environments, primarily near lakes and streams. It's a herbaceous, short-lived perennial, and as a perennial, it reproduces for the years that it is alive, so it is an itero-parous organism. Lobelia is also primarily an outcrosser. It has hermaphroditic flowers that undergo dichogamy. The flowers are protandrous, so they transition from male to a female state. And the production of flowers starts at the base of this inflorescence. These are the older flowers, and later flowers near the top will grow. But since these flowers down here are older, they become male and then transition into the female state, while these flowers are maturing and entering into the male state. So the flowers on bottom will be female, while the flowers on top will be primarily male. The staminate phase of the flower lasts for approximately 3 days. It produces pollen over those 3 days, and if the pollen is removed, then the staminate phase will end. But if the pollen is not removed, then the staminate phase can last as long as 10 days. After that period of time, the pistillate phase begins, and during this phase, the style grows through the anther tube and protrudes outward, just like that. And these stigmatic lobes on top of the style reflex, and they become receptive to pollen. And this phase only lasts about 2 to 3 days. So, autogamous self-fertilization is almost non-existent in Lobelia, since the plant flowers transition from male to a female phase. The phases of the same flower do not overlap, so therefore it doesn't self-fertilize autogamously. But it is able to self-fertilize through gytonogamy, and in this case, pollen is transferred from the male portion of the plant, a male flower, to a female flower lower on the plant. So through this mechanism, it is capable of self-fertilization. So, as an outcrosser, the lifestyle of dichogamy reduces the plant's likelihood of self-fertilization. However, as I just stated, it still maintains that ability to self-fertilize. So when the plant finds itself without any neighbors and it doesn't have a mate, it can undergo self-fertilization. So that's really important. The plant is pollinated by a specific animal pollinator, and this is the ruby-throated hummingbird. When the hummingbird interacts with the plant, it comes in to get the nectar at this portion of the plant, and it brushes these hairs at the portion of the anther tube. And the anther tube opens, and the pollen gets stuck to the hummingbird's forehead. So, as an outcrosser, Lobelia has characteristics in order to attract pollinators. It has these bright, vibrant red flowers that birds are attracted to, and as I just stated, it produces nectar as well. So its structure is related to its mode of pollination. As I was saying before, the lower portion of the flower is female, while the top portion of the flower is male. And the male flowers produce more nectar. And this is important because the hummingbird is more likely to visit the male flowers at the top of the plant, rather than the female flowers. And of course that's important because the pollinator needs to have pollen on it before it interacts with the female portion of the plant. The life history of Lobelia is also related to its seed dispersal mechanism. It's found near bodies of water, so its main seed dispersal mechanism is through water. The plant also produces about 200 seeds per fruit, and these seeds are very small, very lightweight, so this suggests that the plant is capable of being dispersed, or the seeds are capable of being dispersed through wind as well. And the seeds can also be dispersed by becoming lodged in the feathers of aquatic or semi-aquatic birds such as ducks, or sticking to their feet. But this is characterized as chance dispersal and only accounts for about 5 to 10% of seed dispersal. The traits of the Lobelia's fruits are also related to its seed dispersal mechanism. The fruit is a thin protective capsule rather than a fleshy fruit, and since it doesn't disperse its seed through animal ingestion, it doesn't have to allocate resources to produce a fleshy fruit. Instead, it puts those resources towards making a large number of small seeds. The phylogeny of the plant. In the fall, a seed germinates into a rosette, and it overwinters in this rosette stage until the springtime and early summer. At this point, it's a rosette that grows in inflorescence with a few flowers on it, and the plant typically has anywhere between 2 to 100 flowers. In the mid to late summer, the plant is in its flowering stage, and it's in its reproductive mode at this point. And then as it goes to the fall, starts fruiting. So this is late summer, early fall. It begins to fruit. And then somewhere between fall and winter, or before the winter, the seeds drop and they germinate into this rosette in the fall. And the phylogeny of phenology of Lobelia is related to its pollinator, the ruby-throated hummingbird. So the hummingbird spends its time in Central America during the winter and fall, and at this point the plant is in its fruiting phase as well as in its germinating and rosette phase. And the pollinator comes back during the summer to breed, and at this point the plant is in its growing stage and flowering reproductive stage in the summer. So like I was saying before, the cardinal flower is found in wet environments, and the plant is not resistant to drought conditions. So by germinating in the fall and wintering as a rosette, it gets a jump start in the spring on flowering. So it takes advantage of the cooler, wet environment seen in the spring in the eastern portion of North America, and it avoids the summer time where it's mainly growing in this early springtime. So it avoids doing the majority of its growth in the summertime where the weather is much more unpredictable. And also the phenology of Lobelia also affects its characteristics. Like I was saying before, its main growing season is in the spring, and at this point it produces vibrant red flowers and 2 to 100 more flowers on each inflorescence, and the plant can reach heights up to 6 feet tall. So by having its growing season in the spring or early summer where resources are plentiful, it can produce more flowers, larger flowers, and grow taller, and also store those resources for later production of nectar, which is really important because the pollinator is more likely to pollinate plants that are larger, have more flowers, have more nectar. So it's really important that it grows in time when there's a lot of resources. So that's it for my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.